Good morning and welcome to the OCR Report's coverage of DEKA FIT race number 4 here in the 2023 season. We'll be heading out to Anaheim, California in just a few minutes to get you set for all the action. I'm Xander Keene, joined by Luke Halterman. And Luke, this should be an exciting morning of hybrid racing. We've got deep fields, maybe the deepest of the season so far, on both
Absolutely.
the men's and women's sides, as we are again at the midway point of the DEKA FIT season with athletes trying to position themselves for the championship that will be in a few months' time in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So it should be exciting. We've got some talented athletes making their season debuts. We've got athletes going for their second or third DEKA mark to try and improve their time and improve their positioning. It should be a great morning ahead.
It should be, man. I'm looking forward to it. We have a couple of first-timers for this year, for the season, I should say. And in fact, first-timers ever. Nicole Miracle is making an appearance today. We world champion against Lauren Weeks. This should be probably the most exciting matchup of, honestly, I want to say all time. This should be pretty exciting, man. And then even on the men's field, VJ Jones making his appearance going against Cole Schwartz. Should be a good head-to-head matchup as well.
Yeah, this is exciting because we've got both winners from the first Spartan Race 3K format race a couple of weeks ago in Palm Beach, taking their first crack at DEKA FIT this season. VJ Jones has experience in past years, but as you mentioned, Nicole Miracle, one of the top obstacle course racers, coming back from a long injury rehab and ready to go. She showed that she's back in full form in Palm Beach a couple of weeks ago, but has never really stepped into the DEKA FIT realm, and it'll be exciting to see her go toe-to-toe with Lauren Weeks, who is no stranger to DEKA FIT and this type of format. So we were expecting to have a big showdown on the men's side as well with Rylan Shadig. He's unfortunately not able to start today, but you mentioned Cole Schwartz, some other experienced athletes as well on the men's side. And yeah, the headliners might be VJ, Nicole, and Lauren with Cole Schwartz in there as well. But we've got deep fields, especially in that first heat. So who knows who's going to stick their nose in it and try and make some things happen early on.
That's very true. Yeah, the podium is definitely going to be a good fight. There might be a couple, as you could say, guaranteed podiums, but we have yet to see. You know, the race is what it is. It always starts out hot. You never know how it finishes, of course. Lauren's going to take it out super hot, as she always does. She runs like the Terminator. We all know this. Nicole is going to try to keep up with her best ability. We've never seen Nicole in functional fitness movements. This is going to be very exciting. How's her rower? How's her box overs? How's the assault bike? I would love to see this personally. I think her general fitness will take over completely, but we all know what Lauren is capable of. And then also to the other females, we can't count out, Shannon Payne was third place in Anaheim last year. We also have Katie Duke making an appearance as well. This is her first DEKA FIT of the season, but she is the current DEKA Mile fastest time for females this year. And then Calypso Sheridan as well. She has made it to the battle bunker. She is also the fourth fastest DEKA Mile currently of this year. So we know she's going to make an appearance for the podium as well.
And that's the interesting thing about the way the DEKA FIT season unfolds is, it's a long season with 7 qualifying races for the World Championship. So athletes are preparing for other competitions. They might be peaking for this race. It sort of, mixes in and out with the rest of their season. And so you've got an athlete like Calypso Sheridan coming off the Go Ruck Games, her and some other athletes participating in Battle Bunker as well. Those type of competitions can prepare you for sort of the compromised nature of DEKA FIT. For Those of you new to the sport, as we're getting our first look inside the DEKA arena here in Anaheim, DEKA FIT's 5,000 meters of running broken up into 10 by 500 reps with a workout zone in between each one. So starting right away with a leg burner with weighted reverse lunges, you then got a row, box step overs, med ball sit-ups, ski erg, farmer's carry, air bike, dead ball wall overs, tank push, and then ram burpees at the end. And often, as we see, it is that air bike, station number 7, that can really change the complexion of a race. On both the men's and women's sides, we've seen, pretty big gaps form. I remember in Austin back in the first race of the season, Nick Riker made a huge comeback on the air bike to move up, I think, 2 or 3 spots. Someone like Lauren Weeks with that experience, that may be somewhere that she's targeting to maybe pull ahead of Nicole later on. 20 minutes of racing or so before getting to that point. But Luke, where do you see, as someone with some experience in this field as well, where do you see kind of the key points of the race where moves can be made and positioning could change?
That's a great question, because when it comes to DEKA FIT, I really feel like if you are a pretty fast athletes, you can get through most things pretty quickly as well. I don't think the movements itself, you can make up too much time as far as the, let's say, farmer carry or the box overs. Those are all kind of little key seconds here or there. Transition is going to be the biggest thing. How does one come off the assault bike, like you mentioned? That's usually compromises most people. Can you sell your soul on a couple stations such as the rower or the skier and really make up that time and difference? That I think is going to be the key point for today's races. Definitely in the female field. The male field, uh, we have actually a couple of experienced athletes in there, such as Mark Polson and John Howard and Glenn Race making an appearance. That I will say between those three is going to be the most exciting matchup of the day, other than Nicole and Lauren. I'm looking forward to that, and actually now that I say that about the key seconds, I think it will come down to, in fact, that key seconds. Let's see how fast these people can come on and off the equipment and make that transition, going right back into their run.
Yeah, as you mentioned, especially in stations like the rower where there's, you've got to get yourself strapped in, and any kind of delay or just inefficiency in that movement, even if it's only 2 or 3 seconds, that could give someone the break that they need. So definitely
Absolutely.
the little things matter, even though it's a 29 to 30 minute race for the guys, likely a 33-34 minute race for the women. 10 seconds, over the course of a couple of stations could definitely make a pretty big difference.
Absolutely. I think more importantly, this race is going to come down to the run. I think as far as all these athletes here, all of these athletes are great. They're studs. They're phenomenal. Some of the best in the world, best to ever do it, honestly. So this is going to be exciting to see how fast these runs can be. And with this type of field and runners, man, I see some fast 5K times. I really do. So this is pretty exciting.
Yeah, especially on the women's side, you'd have to think that Nicole Miracle is going to want to push the pace early and try and break away from most of the field. I'd imagine Lauren Weeks is going to go with her. We'll see
Absolutely.
if anyone else, sticks their nose in it as well. But you mentioned that the stations themselves, at least in terms of the weight early on, aren't particularly challenging in terms of, there's no real heavy sled or anything like that. So the running and fitness does make the difference in that first portion of the race, and we'll likely see that from a few of these athletes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I think Nicole's biggest, as far as where she's going to make her run, like you mentioned, I figure she's going to take it out hot. She's going to have to, because we all know Lauren does. And so she's going to have to try to outrun Lauren, because Lauren, I think, just from a functional fitness standpoint, like I said, we've never seen Nicole on these equipment. So it'd be interesting to see how quick she is. I'm sure she's doing this with knowing that she's going to do well in this, or else why would she be racing, right? So I think Lauren's going to catch her on the stations. Just a matter of how fast can she keep up on those 5K runs as well with her. So
we're going to go look at some athletes warming up. I see VJ Jones there on the ski erg, and there's a little bit of everything to warm yourself up for a race like this. Obviously, you've got to get sort of some running under your belt to get loose, and maybe some touches on the stations as well, just to make sure that nothing's too much of a system shock once you actually get into the race.
System shock, because that first run is the fastest run of them all. Everyone takes that out pretty much hotter than what you're supposed to. And the last thing you need is your system to be shocked right before you go into those lunges. Oh, there's Cole Schwartz. There he is.
Cole Schwartz there on the air bike getting ready.
Second at the Go Ruck Games? Second or third? So he's coming in with a new type of fitness. Cole is pretty strong. He's been training with Hunter quite a bit. This will be I'll be interested to see how Cole's running is, considering that he's bulked up quite a bit for the Go Ruck Games and Battle Bunker, if I'm not mistaken.
What's interesting on the men's side is we don't have that many athletes, at least near the top of the season standings, who have put a time on the board yet this year. Looking at the top 12 right now, John Howard and Mark Polson are actually tied for 10th. Both of them at 32-44. There's a big gap from them to the top. But what's interesting is you've got someone like VJ who, obviously has the fitness, has the ability, has done this before, just not this year. And you've got athletes like that with more experience who are trying to position themselves. If the format's the same as last year, the top 12 is what you need to get to that world championship spot. So you've got some athletes close to the midway point of the season, right on the fringe, and once you get down past the top 5 on the men's side, those time gaps in terms of the overall season standings are very, very small.
Very,
we're talking
yes.
10, 15 seconds between positions. And so this is the kind of thing where you were mentioning earlier, maybe VJ's out front, but with John, Mark, Glenn Race, some other guys as well, if they can push each other to fast times, you could potentially have a scenario where 4 or 5 guys move themselves up in the standings, even if VJ is the one that ultimately comes out with the win.
Absolutely. Yeah, you got someone such as VJ out in front. It's going to push other people to run and perform a little bit quicker as well. I actually see a couple PRs today. Do I see sub 30 in the men's field? I'm going to say no. I don't think we have a field that will truly push maybe sub 3. I hope I'm wrong. That would be exciting to see, of course. But I do see actually a pretty close race when it comes to the podium standpoint. So this will be fun to see. And I see a lot of people making their way and their claims into top 12.
Yeah, so far this year, we've got 2 athletes have gone sub 30 on the men's side. Rylan Shattuck, 29.09. Ryan Kent, 29.20. And then there's a gap of over a minute to Nick Riker in 3rd place. That's what you mentioned, where that sub 30 mark, it's been done, and there's a few notable names who have not stepped into DEKA yet this year. Obviously, VJ making his first appearance of the season today. Rich Ryan, last year's champion, hasn't set foot yet. He's preparing for some other competitions. And so there's still names to come into that leaderboard, but the guys in that 8 to 12 range, there's opportunities still for them to move themselves up.
Absolutely. There's definitely fast enough runners to make that claim today. And as long as they group together and really dig deep, anything can happen.
Do you want to see more DEKA and OCR races live streamed this year? Support the sport and become an OCR Report member today. For less than $5 a month, you can help us live stream races like this every single week. Find a link in our YouTube show notes and more information on our Instagram page at the OCR Report. Become a member today. We're a few minutes away from the start of DEKA FIT race number 4 in Socal, coming to you from Anaheim, California. Again, you can see athletes warming up, getting ready. It's a full day of action. A couple of elite heats on both sides, but also, age group, open heats, competitors just towing the line, whether it's their first event or their 10th. It's definitely an exciting atmosphere. I've yet to do a DEKA FIT, probably looking at doing my first one in Orlando coming up in September, but just, within the last year and a half, we've really seen, this type of competition take off. And, the barrier to entry for athletes, it's not too tough, but you can really push yourself and send it over the course of, 30, 40 minutes. And obviously it's exciting at the top of the sport as well, as more and more athletes start to focus on this as really their primary form of competition.
Absolutely. Sometimes the shorter races are by far the worst races. I mean, the fact that, like you mentioned, as far as toughness and weight and overall, it's not that physically demanding, but you push yourself fast enough to make it physically demanding, you will be in the pain cave the whole 30 minutes. And that's exactly what these athletes are going to go do. And the best thing about watching the top athletes in the world do this is you get to see, in fact, what it is about pushing your body to the limits, right? We're so capable of ascending the skies and going past what a mountain summit could be. These are the type of athletes that can prove that and get it done.
Yeah, absolutely. A DEKA strong that's 12 to 15 minutes, a DEKA mile around 20 minutes or a little bit less, DEKA FIT 30 minutes. All of those are about as miserable as each other if you're pushing yourself to the absolute limit. And we'll see what happens here as we're getting ready in just a few minutes for the start of DEKA FIT. And again, you mentioned earlier kind of in our intro how that first run, it's really the only time that you're not compromised at all, because after the first run, you go straight into lunges and then you're kind of fighting to make up ground. So, oftentimes we do see, 2 or 3 athletes really take off from the beginning. Maybe they go out too hot, or maybe that's the break that they need to really set the tone of the race. But, in a format like this, there's no easing into the race, right? You're going to get after it right away to try and position yourself. And we should expect that, given the caliber of some of the runners at the top of these 2 fields.
Absolutely. With hybrid racing as well, too, I don't think you have the luxury of letting someone get too far ahead of you. I really feel like if someone's going to take out a hot, you have to be pretty much right behind them. like I mentioned before with the few second transition, if you allow yourself too much in that gap for the run, then those few seconds aren't going to matter too much. But you're going to hope over a course of the race that it would. But if someone's going to take out hot, you have to run right behind them. You have to be there. Every second counts.
You can see VJ Jones in the middle of the screen there in the yellow headband. He's someone we expect to be pushing the pace from the beginning of this race.
Absolutely.
You know, the Spartan 3K winner from Palm Beach, as we mentioned a couple of weeks ago, has not done a DEKA FIT this year, but is certainly ready. He's made it known that he's looking to step more into the hybrid space. He's someone who's focused a lot on, you know, shorter obstacle course racing, and he's ready to get after it, as you see right there here today, as he sort of transforms his training and emphasizes this more a little bit in his career.
So this is what I kind of wanted to bring up as well too. I don't think we've ever had an OCR world champ and a hybrid world champ. Or actually, Chris Roglowski. I'm so sorry. She's going to hate me for saying that. Chris Roglowski made that happen, and Hunter. I believe Hunter won an OCR title. But VJ is definitely capable of being on that Mount Rushmore of hybrid and OCR. And maybe even Nicole Miracle. But this is, of course, today to prove that, right? And so I really hope these two bring it.
Looks like we're just a few minutes away as the national anthem is being played in Anaheim. You mentioned Nicole Miracle bringing that OCR champion history and resume into this competition. And she's someone who, again, has been away from competing for almost 2 years at this point after, you know, an ACL injury and a long rehab. But it's been exciting to see her back after it. Obviously, she's never really stepped into hybrid racing before. She's surrounded herself with athletes, you know, in this space in terms of Matt Kempson and people like that in training, but hasn't stepped foot herself and definitely has more of that running kind of rock climbing grip strength background more than the hybrid component. But that's why it's exciting to see someone like that. We know her ability level, we know her competitive spirit and her championship pedigree coming into a competition like this, where she's a little bit of a fish out of water just in terms of experience, but she'll be ready to get after it for sure.
Absolutely. I think when you're a big fish in the pond, every single time you approach a race, you're going to perform well and you're going to do well every single time. So I don't think she's nervous one bit, regardless if this is a new race to her. You know, the best of the best always find a way.
So it'll be a little bit before we see Nicole Miracle, Lauren Weeks, and the rest of the women's field in action, as we're just about set for the start of Heat 1 of our men's race.
That will be in this start area. When I call her name,
Xander, who you got top 3, buddy?
I have to say VJ Jones and Cole Schwartz will probably be 1 and 2, or they have a good chance at it. I like Glenn Race as someone who's got that experience, a bit of a hometown race for him in Southern California, to maybe make some noise and come out in 3rd. What about you?
I like that. Yeah, I like that prediction a lot. You know, I have VJ winning. I believe VJ is going to bring it today. I got Glenn going 2nd. I think Glenn's going to bring it. He got 3rd, I believe, in Anaheim last year. I think he pulls out a 2nd. And I want to say Cole in 3rd, but I haven't seen him as far as running. I don't know how it is, so I'm not trying to throw him under the table, but I would love to see Mark Poulsen finally achieve his 3rd place podium spot. He's gotten 4th, I believe, 3 times, if I did my stats correctly. I would love to see him get his 3rd place. Him or John Howard as well.
So athletes are getting called up to the start line now. That's the DEKA FIT tradition. It also helps us. You know, you get the names called out. You can kind of put names to equipment and, you know, make sure that we're identifying people correctly. But it's exciting. You know, I think you've got a talented field. You've got, again, that balance of experience with, you know, the caliber of an athlete like VJ Jones, Cole Schwartz coming in. We're just moments away from the start of an exciting DEKA FIT Socal race.
This is going to be definitely exciting. Like I said, it's going to go out hot. I can't wait. I don't know if I can even touch the screen. It's going to be that hot, man. Oh, John Clark. Yeah, John Clark's there. Let's go. Former Battle Bunker buddy. John Clark, I could believe, can run about a 16-minute 5K. So he's definitely got some wheels on him.
He just set the new 5P personal record time of 16:58. Of 40-plus years old, from Clintonville, based out of hardcore
All
fitness.
right, there's
Get
the
up
man.
on
All
Mark.
right, Mark. Let's see what you can do today, buddy. Let's get it done, man.
This gentleman ranked first at the 2222 DEKA FIT San Jose, all the way from San Diego, California. Not far from here, giving up for Cole Schwartz.
And there's
All right,
Cole
Cole
Schwartz
Daddy,
again,
as Hunter would
coming
say.
off Go-Ruck games, a guy that stepped into the hybrid space a lot over the past couple of years.
This gentleman reigns from Temecula, California.
Cole's definitely the strongest
Trains
athlete
out
in
of
this
San
field
Diego
for sure.
Premier Training. Give it up for Glenn Reyes.
All right, Glenn.
Glenn is silly.
Oh.
Yeah, never seen. All right.
Oh, that's the best intro yet. That's awesome. Old man Glenn, I love it.
He trains from Black Force Performance Training. He is the man of the plan, the jam, and the beat. Give it up for the man, DJ Jones.
There he is.
And there's VJ Jones, 2 weeks off of a victory at Spartan Palm Beach, the inaugural 3K event in the new series format. Ready to race a little bit longer here with 5,000 meters of running, but we're set to go. You see VJ there right up front. Presumably he's going to be pushing the pace right from the get-go as we're just seconds away from the start of Heat 1 here of this men's race in DEKA FIT Socal.
Y'all ready?
Glenn Reyes has now put his cane away and ready to actually start running here.
Not a Spartan race, ladies and gentlemen.
I think he's aware he cannot use it as a weapon, so that's good to know. So,
gentlemen, when I say DEKA, you say fit. We're going through 3 of those, and it's your time to shine. Same arena, same performance, same fitness. DEKA! 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 Let's go!
And here we go. We're officially underway, the first of 10 5,000 meter runs. And as expected, VJ Jones putting himself right up in front with Cole Schwartz next to him as they try and extend here in this first run and open up a little bit of a gap.
yeah, I have a feeling all 10 men will be pretty grouped together in the first 2 stations, maybe even the first 3 stations. I think once we hit the med ball setups, that's when the gap is going to start opening up a little bit and we'll start seeing our podium contenders.
Should have some great view of the action with 3 or 4 rapids on course, bringing us multiple angles. And as this race starts to unfold, and if gaps do form, then you should be able to get a good look at various parts of the field.
What's great about these races is you'll see the front runners usually, even on the first lap. But man, those 9th, 10th, 8th place guys, some of the best in the world to do it. Some of the fastest people out there.
So in just a few seconds, they'll be coming into the first station. It's 30 reps of weighted reverse lunge. For the men, it's 55 pounds. So 15 reps each leg, and then they're right back on the run.
Nelson rocking those high socks as always, my man. Oh, here we go. Max is keeping up with him, 3rd place. All right.
And very quickly, this zone fills up as everyone else comes in. As you mentioned, not a huge gap right away. 3 guys in there first. And we'll see who comes out ahead.
Pretty quick 500. VJ, even at that pace, I imagine is fairly comfortable for him, but he's definitely going to try to outrun the field for sure. He's going to have to outrun Cole when it comes to the stations because Cole, I would assume, could probably outperform VJ on the rower or even on the skier. So Cole or VJ is going to have to put that distance between him.
And VJ, as you mentioned, out first and a little bit ahead of Cole Schwartz, maybe a couple of seconds. We'll see if we get some splits. As we do, you can see Max actually
Max, wow,
came out in first, so missed that as he was coming out, but The fastest split on the lunges, 37 seconds. You see there, 39 for VJ, 41 for Cole. That kind of brings the point that you were making, though, of the gaps aren't that huge on the stations themselves, especially early on. 3 or 4 seconds. So it is the running that could really make the difference and
Yes.
change the complexion of this race.
Yeah, and not so much the running, but how are you compromised running, right? That's all about hybrid racing and OCR, is how good are you coming off the stations? Anybody can probably run a fast 5K if you're training for a 5K, but how are you when your legs are smoked? And that's exactly what DEKA FIT is designed to do. The first 3 stations are designed to smoke your legs with the lunges, rower, and then the box over. So that is usually when the gap forms. So see how the leg endurance rolls out.
You saw there a few seconds ago, VJ just hanging 2 or 3 strides back of Max, kind of letting him pull him along as they did open up a bit of a gap on Cole Schwartz in third. And we'll see if Cole can make up any of that time.
Yeah, I think this is where he makes up his time right here on the rower. Max has already ran a 34:41 in the DEKA FIT arena, but Max, I believe, is a triathlete, elite athlete, if I remember watching the Spartan Games. This guy could definitely make a name for himself today in this race. So, and that's most certainly what he's doing right now. So you can't count him out quite yet.
VJ has pulled ahead at the end of this 5,000 meter run, so or 500 meter run, I should say, heading onto the rower 3 or 4 seconds ahead of Max as the rest of the field filing in now.
Mark in 6. This is a good group right here. This is good. I don't see John anywhere. We could be playing conservative. There's John. A 142. Wow. That's a great pace. Can't quite see what Glenn is rowing there.
VJ holding on to that 142, 143.
That's fantastic. Wow. That's a great pace. He definitely knows that Cole and Max are breathing down his neck, so he's trying to make his move early. I like it.
Here's a look at Cole Schwartz. Similar to VJ, actually a little bit slower right now, 145. So VJ still at that 141, 142, definitely making it known that he's ready.
Yeah, I don't know if this is strategy or not. Obviously, I didn't call him up last night and ask, but it seems like he's trying to put this thing to bed early. And I like that. I like aggressiveness. This will make it a very exciting race.
Yeah, someone of VJ's running ability, even within the context of one 500-meter rep, we saw him sort of pick his spot on that second run where Max was ahead of him, and then VJ got 2 or 3 seconds in front by the time they got into the rower. So haven't been able to tell exactly what pace Max is rowing at, but if VJ is able to hold on to this low 140s, he should have a little bit more of a gap as you see him finishing up right now, and he is out several seconds ahead of the field.
Wow, great move. That was awesome. That was very, very strategic. Let's see if it doesn't blow up, obviously. Let's see if it just holds in his favor, but it looks like he's trying to end this early. There goes Mark. All right. Max.
So I think Cole is out as well, as I don't see him rowing anymore, so he must have come out off screen. You see there, VJ out in first.
Yeah. Look at those
Max
times.
about 7 seconds behind him with Cole in third.
Yeah, that's huge. 1 or 2 seconds could, you can make up in a run, but 7 seconds, that's huge in a hybrid race for sure.
Especially when we already saw VJ with a faster run there on number 2.
Absolutely. So it looks like Max in second, Cole in third, John in fourth, Glenn in fifth, and Mark in sixth. All right. This is a good battle.
It's kind of what you had mentioned coming into this race where we expected Mark, Glenn, and John to sort of pull each other forward. I think maybe the surprise on our end was Max sticking his nose in it right away and kind of breaking up that VJ Cole 1-2.
If he did run, in fact, a 34, man, he is on pace for a very much huge improvement today. So I hope he keeps it up. This is good. We need someone breathing down VJ's neck to keep him pushing as well too. VJ's already lapping the field. Man, wow.
Straight to the box step overs now, 20 reps. And VJ looks like a very efficient technique to this point.
Man, you know, I take it back. Sub 30 may be done today. He is playing very aggressive, and I love it. This is awesome.
Now, obviously, not every station is going to take the same amount of time, so it's hard to really do the math in that way. But if you think about it, 30% of the race done in just over 8 minutes when he finishes this station. So, as you mentioned, putting himself in position, you know, for a fast time, I think maybe the only thing that may hold him back is just how hard he decides to push it if he's able to maintain this gap and doesn't really have any competition, you know, on those last few stations and runs.
Correct. Yeah. It usually by station 8, 9, or 10, if you kind of have a gap, usually like a lap gap, you can kind of let off the throttle just a bit. You know, that's going to be obviously a personal choice of his. But if he knows he's within that striking distance to maybe get the top time of the year, I think he's going to go for it.
And there's quite a pack forming. You see Cole Schwartz, John Clark, Max Fennell, Glenn Race, Mark Polzin, all pretty close to each other, with VJ opening up that big gap at this point. But an exciting, even if VJ is able to continue to pull away, we're in store for a very exciting race for the podium here in this men's field.
Absolutely. Yep. I expected nothing less from these guys, so this is going to be good. Oh, John Clark's in second. Wow, okay. Cole in third, Glenn in fourth, and it looks like Max has fallen back to fifth with Mark still in sixth.
It's maybe the veteran experience of a Glenn Race, who didn't go out quite as hard from the start, but him and John Clark have been able to pull themselves into a much better position here as we head toward the midpoint of this competition.
And VJ's running form is just flawless. Watching him is like watching a gazelle. I mean, it's just how springy he is, even with compromised legs.
It doesn't even look like VJ's running that hard, and he's lapping the field and just pulling away because he's so efficient with that stride as he now goes into the med ball sit-ups. So 25 reps. This is a 20-pound weight that he's got to touch against that target and then touch on the ground behind him.
Yeah, so not going out too fast on this. Looks a little conservative. A great pace, though, of course, but it just doesn't look like he's trying to make up any time. Doesn't have to right now, right? It is definitely his race to lose at this point for the rest of the race.
Have you run a DEKA yet? Check out DEKA.fit for a local DEKA event near you. There are hundreds to choose from. That is DEKA.fit. And now as VJ Jones finishes, the rest of the men's pack is into their med ball sit-ups.
Wow,
we saw, you know, a stream of 5 or 6 guys all come in one after another. Again, this is going to be quite a back-and-forth competition as you see John Clark and Cole Schwartz there in the foreground with Max Fennell in the background, some other guys as well. I mean, VJ, again, in the inset picture, you can see in a world of his own at this point, but everyone else is going to be jockeying for position here in these final 6 stations.
So I think this is where Max, as you can see, his med ball setups are a little bit slower than the other athletes. I think this is where experience comes into play a little bit. Definitely not doubting his athletic ability at all, but his med ball setups are just a little bit slower, and guys who are just used to this movement or practice it quite often clearly have the technique down.
Glenn Race has pulled himself into second place, was the first guy in this pack as VJ comes around finishing the lap. Glenn was the first guy of this kind of chase pack to come out of this stage. You could see 1 second ahead of Mark Polzin, and they pulled themselves a little bit ahead of John Clark as well. So Glenn making a move. I think you called it before the race that Glenn Race would come in second place, and he's putting himself in position. We'll see if he can finish it off.
He is, yeah. I think he's definitely more than capable of doing so. He's definitely been putting in the hybrid work, and even with the age, it just it only matures his athletic ability even more, man. Cane and all. John Clark's still hanging on, though. This is great. see how aggressive VJ skier is going to be. Let's see if he's going to try to do usually about a 155 too. I would say is playing conservative for the most part. But if he's pushing 150 or below, he's gunning for sub 30 today. I don't see why he would be trying to push anything faster if he wasn't.
Yeah, again, you got to think that VJ is aware of where everyone else is, or the fact that there's no one else at the skier with him right now. And that's where that decision point of, how hard is he going to push it, the difference between, going for sub 30 versus coming in just under 31. He's probably aware of the fact that, he's going to put himself pretty high on the leaderboard, assuming he can continue at this pace anyway. And I think it's just a question of how much of a statement does he want to make, as he is well into the skier before Glenn Race comes in the number 2 spot.
Yeah, I would like to think that he's probably about a good 250 meters in. Generally, if he's going at that sub 2 pace, so you're looking at about 40, 45 seconds maybe. So it looks like he's being conservative with his pulls. It looks good. The form looks good.
So Glenn Race has not run a DEKA. I think the question becomes, if Cole is able to make up 10, 15 seconds in this station, is that enough to get him back up toward the podium? Because, he did fall behind a little bit coming out of the med ball sit-ups into that next run. There's VJ. Can't quite tell on the monitor what he's skiing at right now. But again, he was, like you mentioned, Luke, a couple of 100 meters in before Glenn even got into the station.
Wow.
149 was the ending pace.
Wow.
And he's out.
Yeah. He's pushing it today. He wants to be a one and done, qualify for Worlds if that's in fact what his goal is. He's definitely pushing it today. So he's sub 15 right now, halfway through the race. So 29 is very well doable today.
And Glenn Race in second, he ran a 31:43 last year, was his best time. And so, especially because he's sort of at the front of a pack right now with guys pushing him, he could be, set for a pretty big PR as well.
I believe so. Absolutely. Definitely if he's feeding off VJ's energy, knowing he's in second, obviously it's going to help push him a little bit too. I could see him breaking 31:15 today, which is a huge PR. 30 seconds is huge.
And Glenn making sure he hits 500 meters, 2:01, so about 10, 12 second difference.
Well, it looks like Mark made a move on Glenn. And then here comes Cole.
So Cole Schwartz in 5th.
155. So
that zone time you see on the screen includes a little bit of the transition time as well, potentially, but you can see that, VJ well ahead of the field, and even though Mark was able to make up some time, on the rest of that pack.
VJ is coming out with authority today on all stations. He has led every single station today so far, maybe except the lunges. I wasn't sure on that one. But everything else that you can really make up the time for, man, he is just absolutely crushing it. And he's looking solid.
And here's the farmer's carry.
Right,
you'd expect VJ to move as well as he is right now. This weight, isn't too much for these guys. 60-pound dumbbells in each hand, 100 meters. So VJ is just going to motor through this and get back on the run in just a few seconds.
Absolutely. So I will say, I think even though he has a comfortable lead to an extent, he's going to have to keep this intensity all the way through the bike because you just never know. The bikes, he very well could take, say, a minute 15, and you have someone coming in such as Glenn, and he just knocks out 37 seconds. You just never know, which can make up a tremendous amount of time. So BJ's going to have to keep this aggression going with this run and crush the bike, and then after that, it's just pretty much smooth sailing from there.
So 60% of the race done by VJ in 17 minutes exactly as he came out of the farmer's carry again, well ahead of the field as he is done with the station, I believe, before anyone else comes into it.
Oh, Mark, there. Okay.
You mentioned Mark had made a move on Glenn as he's about 4 seconds in front of him with John Clark right there. So that 2 through 4 is pretty tight race right now here in station number 6, and I'd imagine Cole Schwartz is just a few seconds behind them as well.
Yeah, Yeah, like I mentioned before, I wasn't sure Cole's cardio. DEKA Fit, if it was a high rock situation, I think it might be a little bit different. But I don't. I think this is just a little bit more cardio fit. I think that's John Howard, actually. Yeah, it's John Howard. Wow, making his move. That's great. But Cole, I mean, there's plenty more stations, plenty more room to grow. And second and third still right there, attainable for sure.
Yeah, I think that's the thing about DEKA Fit is that, because the stations, a lot of them are relatively short, the running is a larger percentage of the race compared to a high rocks or maybe a different competition.
Absolutely.
Guys might put in, a 18, 19-minute 5K in a 31, 32-minute race. And so it's, more than 50% of this is running. And so that may be where Cole's falling behind right now. But, still some opportunity. You got to imagine that he's going to be ready for that air bike coming up next.
Yeah. Oh, I'm excited. Let's see what he pulls out. I want to say he goes 45 seconds. He's going to hammer this thing.
So about 18:47 on the clock when he started.
Yeah, he's standing. He's digging deep, which is good. He's got his girlfriend filming him, so he has to bring it.
25 calories on the bike. It's going to hurt no matter how you do it, so you might as well just get after it and get it done as quick as you can.
This is by far the worst station out of all 10. If you've never done a DEKA Fit or just a DEKA in general, just get yourself on an assault bike for 25 calories all out. You'll hate your life a little bit.
So he's coming up on 50 seconds. You see him standing up, trying to just drive that power from his arms and his legs.
I bet he's got to be getting close. 1 minute in. Oh, here comes Mark.
So
right?
VJ with a lead of over a minute as Mark comes in second place.
So this is where Mark can make a little bit of a room if, in fact, first place is still... Oh, well, it looks like VJ's... Oh, okay. I thought for a second he really gassed himself. Mark can make up a little bit of room right here. So, it's first place is not out of question quite yet. Look, Glenn's hammering.
Yeah, but I think it was about a 115 to 120 for VJ on the bike. We'll probably get a split on the screen here in a little bit. So maybe not quite as fast as we thought he might have gone, but still with a sizable gap. Again, he was just about a minute in front of Mark heading into this station. So we'll see. I mean, this is where I think positions could change a lot. Just, whether if someone can go, 50 seconds versus someone else going well over a minute. This was where that, second through fifth pack might break up a little bit.
Absolutely. And for all we know, VJ could have played conservative on the bike, one choice. Yeah, like that. I mean, that's 25-second difference between Mark and VJ. I mean, that's a gap. That's huge. But again, VJ, I'm sure, conserved himself for that run, and he's going to hammer this next 500 meters pretty quick. So, but Glenn and Mark caught up a little bit.
Yeah, 106 for Glenn, and even if they're not able to catch up to VJ, given the size of the gap he had coming in, this could be where they establish the podium, right? This is the most compromising station. After this, you've got the dead ball wallovers, the tank push, and ram burpees. I mean, the tank push and pull is time-consuming, but it's not somewhere where you can necessarily make up a lot of time. So you see there that second to fourth place, a 102, a 106, and a 122. That's now a pretty sizable gap between Glenn in third and John Clark in fourth.
Yeah, it seems like Cole is still on the bike as well. So something must have happened about midway through the race where Cole decided to let off the intensity a little bit.
So almost exactly 22 minutes on the clock when VJ made his way into these dead ball wallovers. 20 reps. There's a 60-pound weight. Again, nothing super heavy for these guys, but at this point of the race, you're, about a minute and a half after finishing the air bike, so you're definitely feeling it. But VJ just trying to keep it going, knowing that he's got a pretty big gap.
Yeah, this is VJ's race to win. He knows it at this point. He definitely knows it. He'll be looking over his shoulders from time to time to check on Mark and Glenn, but it's his to lose at this point. And I think as far as the stations are concerned, he'll probably be a little conservative from here on out for the remaining three, the one that currently he's on now too. But as far as the runs, he's going to push the runs a little bit, I believe. That last run is going to be a pretty quick 500-meter split for him.
And VJ is out even before anyone else comes in. So as here comes Mark in second place. So coming into the air bike, VJ was about a minute ahead of Mark. Even though Mark went 20 seconds faster on the bike, VJ made up most of that time on that run. So as you've been talking about, his running economy is just phenomenal, even in this compromised state, 101 on the dead ball overs. But, to have that as a weapon, knowing that, okay, maybe I'm a little slower on the bike, but I'm just going to pull that time right back on the ensuing run. It speaks to, just the all-around nature of VJ as an athlete, as we see him, pull away from the field with, again, now second through fourth, all on this station at the same time.
That's going to be an exciting finish. Yeah, that's the most exciting thing about functional and hybrid racing, It's just, do you sell your soul a little bit more on the stations to make up time, but to compromise yourself on the runs, or do you make up more time on the runs being conservative on the stations? It's a heads or tails situation, right? Which one do you do? And if you're going to be pushing it in a little bit more on the runs and you compromise yourself more on the stations, then you don't do that, right? So that's exactly what VJ's doing right now. He's been very smart with it. He's some of the best to ever do it, so he knows exactly what he's doing.
We got to look at Mark coming out of this station there kind of in the background as he finished it, and you could tell he's working hard. He sees that podium spot there for the taking, and he's selling himself out. I mean, that kind of goes to show you the level of effort required. I think VJ, it's maybe a little bit of false advertising with how smooth he looks on the run. Mark, and you see Glenn now coming out, I believe, in third place. Actually, John Clark's in third. So Glenn.
Oh, John
fourth.
Clark made a move.
Man. These second through fourth place guys are absolutely selling out now as VJ comes into the tank push.
Now, this is where seconds matter for 2 through 4. Every little transition matters. Every little slippage, such as VJ just kind of had a fumble a little bit with the handles. Everything's going to matter when it comes down to Mark, Glenn, and John. So this is going to be an exciting finish for sure. Mark sees the podium. I don't think he's ever been on a DEKA FIT podium as many races as he's done. So this, man, it's like a shark seeing blood for the first time. He's going for it.
Yeah, Mark Polson was fourth in race number 2, DEKA FIT Knoxville, 9 seconds off the podium. So he probably knows that it's not done yet, but he knows what he wasn't able to do last time and what is in front of him here with a few stations left.
Yeah, I had him down that he got fourth 3 times, in fact, which usually they always say second place is the first loser, but I think fourth place, man, just hurts a little bit more, So I think we've all been there. So this is, he's not, I think he's going to hold on to this, and he's going to snag a podium today. I think he's too experienced to not.
Want to remind you, while you're watching, hit that subscribe button. The OCR Report has the best live race coverage in the sport. Subscribe now as Mark Polson there in the foreground in second place. So these are 5 down and back. So even though they're on the station at the same time, VJ Jones several lengths ahead of Mark at this point. But we have seen VJ fumble a little bit with the straps and kind of maybe his footing a tiny bit. Shoe choice definitely comes into play in the hybrid space as well, especially in a scenario like this. Maybe not as much in DEKA FIT where the weight isn't as much, but, we saw VJ stumble a couple of times. It's probably not going to matter in this race, but that's something that he'll want to get cleaned up looking ahead toward potentially championship season when you've got a field of
John
5 or
Howard
6
making
guys
his move
that can run with him.
Oh, wow. John Howard made a huge move. So we have John Clark there in third in the yellow shirt, and then John Howard just coming in with fourth with Glenn right there behind him. Oh, man, John Howard came out of nowhere. Oh, John Howard very well might get his podium spot as well, too.
VJ is out. This is his last run. So it's going to come down to it as far as 30 minutes. VJ on his last run, he's just got 20 Ram burpees when he comes back in.
Yeah, VJ's got this in the bag, but this will be one of his faster splits, I'm sure of it, just to get it done. And he could go sub 30 today. He could. This 500 run, it can get him right around 29, and then he can knock out those burpees pretty quick. I think he smells it. He knows it's close. $221. Wow, that's flying. Man, these guys are super impressive.
DJ ran a 30.04 during the regular season last year, so that sub 30 is in front of him, and we'll see how hard he punches these burpees. If he knows that it's in play, we could see him go for it here.
I think sub 30 puts you on a different spectrum when it comes to DEKA FIT. It really does. You know, you have your elites, your low 30s, but going sub 30 is just a different ball game.
Yeah, only 4 athletes went sub 30 again during the qualifying races last year. Only 2 have gone sub 30 so far this year. It's definitely an elite club. It took sub 32 to qualify for Worlds last year. The gap between that and sub 30 is definitely notable, and VJ has got a chance at it as he's coming around the corner for just the final few strides of his last run into the Ram burpee. So a 44-pound weight, 20 reps. And then he's across the finish line. He's got just about a minute to get it done.
Just sell his soul. He's got a great pace going right now. Do we know the world record by chance? Or is that 28, 27?
The world record, it's 28-28 by Rylan Chatting last year. Ryan Kent, 28-38. So that's not on the table. I think that may be something where you need someone to push you if you want to go for that at this point with how strong that world record is. But VJ looking to become, I believe, the 5th different person to go sub 30. Rylan and Ryan Kent have done it each of the last 2 years. But
oh, man. Come on, VJ. Oh, this is exciting. He knows it. He's close. Oh, 5 more. 5 more.
4 more reps for VJ. The clock might be winding down on sub 30, but still a dominant win for VJ Jones as you see the effort pushing through these last 2 or 3 reps of Ram burpees.
Oh, man, so close.
Unofficially a 30.04 for VJ Jones.
Dang.
As he comes across as your winner here in DEKA FIT Socal, expending every ounce of remaining energy on those Ram burpees to try and get sub 30. Didn't quite get it, but he's got a dominant victory as you see him. And that shows you the effort required. Even though it looked like he was running really smoothly and effortlessly, if he did have any effort left, he was saving that up for the Ram burpees because he absolutely sold out.
He knew it. Yeah, he knew it. I think he played too soft on the bike. Again, I wasn't in a situation, so I don't know, but I think he played it too conservative on the bike. And I think he knew how close he was there at the end, so obviously he pulled up the intensity. So, man, so close. Oh, that was so close.
And here's Mark Polzin in second, John Clark in third. So Mark trying to hold off, get on that podium for the first time, and get a huge PR.
And here comes John Howard. Unless John Clark just, depending on the burpee situation as far as speed, I kind of see Mark taking second, and then John Clark taking third.
So Mark's got a 32.44 on the board so far this year, looking to take a pretty significant chunk of time if he's able to maintain his burpee pace.
I'm not sure the situation with Glenn. I'm not sure what happened.
Yeah, we don't see Glenn race in the burpee zone yet, and he was, hanging out in 3rd or 4th place for a lot of this race.
Come on, Mark. Mark knows it. Come on, Mark. You gotta dig deep, buddy. You gotta go. Oh, he's stumbling, man. He is blacking out, but he wants it. He wants this podium. 2nd place. All right, Mark.
There it is. 32 minutes for Mark Polzin, taking about 40 seconds off his time. And what an effort by John Clark to come in 3rd. Almost pulled in Mark Polzin. Look at that burpee split. 1:11 for John Clark, making up 15 seconds.
Wow.
It wasn't quite enough as John Howard comes across in 4th. A fantastic finish between these 3 who are jockeying for position all race long. And there, I believe that is Glenn. in the burpee zone now.
Yeah.
So just fell off the pace a little bit in those last few stations.
It seems like that last run, he probably sold himself a little too much on the sled. That sled pull on the hamstrings takes a toll on you, right? And it clearly, I don't know the splits of his 500, but I have a feeling that last 500 was a bit rough for him. Wow, what a
So
race.
Tate Cali, a
That was
name
awesome.
that we didn't say too much, but he pulled himself into 5th place. A smart race run by him to kind of make up some ground and get ahead of Glenn and Cole.
Yeah, that's great. Tate ran a 33:09, so he just hit a PR today, so that's awesome. And then no view of Max as well. It seems like Max has kind of fallen off a little bit, but hopefully he gets a PR today. He still has time to do so. And there's Cole.
We got Glenn Race and Cole Schwartz finishing things off. Here comes Glenn. He'll still go sub 34, so maybe not the end of the race that he wanted. You know, the way that Glenn had put himself in position there in 2nd place at about the midway point, ended up falling off into 6th, but a solid finish as now Cole Schwartz finishes off his last few burpees as well. And you can see in the inset screen, I believe that's the women's race getting set to get started here in just a few minutes.
Oh, baby. Oh, yeah. Here we go. Yeah, that was a fun race. That was a good race. It was a statement win from VJ. Clearly just letting everyone know, even though he won the OCR or the Spartan 3K, that he still is a very good hybrid athlete as well. So people should be looking out for him in the future and future DEKA races.
Yeah, we'll have to wait a little bit longer to get a showdown between VJ Jones and, you know, some of the rest of the top of the field, right? We expected Rylan Shattuck to be here, but he's had some health stuff come up in the last week or so. He posted about earlier this week, so Rylan wasn't able to make it. You know, you wonder if there was a Rylan Shattuck or a Ryan Kent in this race, if it would have pushed VJ to an even faster time. But either way, phenomenal effort from VJ Jones, making a statement, getting himself into 3rd place on the leaderboard to this point, as we're now getting the women's race just about set to get underway. You see Lauren Weeks there getting called up. We expect to see her at the front of this field right along with Nicole Miracle as we get set to get going here in a couple of minutes. And Max Fennell finishing up his burpees. You see some other men running in the background. I believe that's the 2nd heat. Don't expect any of those times to necessarily be competing for the podium by any means, but still some athletes on course, which the women will have to navigate a little bit as they make their way around.
Yeah, that's the thing about staggered heats as well, too, right? You never know. Heat 2, Heat 3 can definitely get a podium spot. You never want to count them out. Usually not a very rare case, usually, but it does happen. So, Xander, who you got top 3 female, man? Who you got? You think Nicole?
I got to think it's going to be – I'm going to say Lauren Weeks will win, just pulling away from Nicole maybe at the end with that hybrid experience. And I like to see maybe Eclipse of Sheridan in 3rd, coming off of Go Rock Games and some other events. We'll see how it unfolds.
Okay, yeah, I like it. Yeah, don't count out Julie Best, Faye Morgan. Also, too, you got Jess, Alicia Kuker. Apologize if I butcher that name. All women who have proven themselves, right? So, but a lot of first-timers today. It'll be very interesting seeing how they go. I think Lauren takes this. I think experience pays out and just how she is on a different level when it comes to hybrid racing. And I want to say Calypso comes in and sneaks in a 2nd place. And then I'm going to say Nicole squeaks out a 3rd. So I would love to – I don't know. I'm kind of excited, man. When it's the first time, you just never know, right?
So you see right there in the front of the field, Lauren Weeks in the black top, Nicole Miracle in the white top. We'd expect the 2 of them to be pushing the pace early, but a talented field. I can see Alicia Keeker there in the background, some other athletes as well getting set. We're just seconds away from getting underway here in this women's race in DEKA FIT Socal. Can you hang with the best of the best at DEKA? The next DEKA Series race is June 24th in the Carolinas. Sign up today at DEKA.fit and watch the action live only on the OCR Report.
We have 6 women from the NorCal race, the last race series, competing today. And out of those 6, 5 of them took top 5. So this will be a very close race.
So here we go. The women's race is underway. And as expected, Nicole Miracle and Lauren Weeks straight to the front of the field, and Nicole's going to use that running ability to push the pace early.
Love it. I expected nothing less right from the get-go. I think as far as maybe an experience standpoint, Lauren probably knew Nicole was going to try to outrun her. So it'd be smart on Lauren's end just to keep her within eye distance, make up time on the stations, give or take, depending on how Nicole is with stations, right? And that's what I'm most excited about. Let's see how functionally fit Nicole is, overall athlete.
And Nicole Miracle, collegiate running background at Rice University, a long-time obstacle course racing athlete, OCR World Champion, Spartan World Champion. Coming off an injury from about 2 years ago, she is back, and she is putting herself in this race early on as the rest of the field now comes in. And you wonder if some of these women knew that, okay, hey, Nicole and Lauren are going to take this out. Maybe similarly as we saw in the men's race, we may see a pack form behind them fighting out for that third spot, and if something happens, maybe they can clean up a higher position later on.
I think so. I think that third place battle is going to be a lot of fun to watch. If my predictions stand, if it's one or two, Nicole and Lauren, that is, third place battle between Katie, Calypso, Faye, Julie, Shannon. I mean, you name it. They're all going to be pretty condensed time-wise, so it will come down to the seconds in this race. Wow.
So Nicole Miracle and Lauren Weeks, stride for stride, well ahead of the field, coming into this first station. Again, just like the men, it's 30 reps. For the women, it's a 33-pound weight as an entire pack comes in maybe 10 seconds behind. So there's been an early gap, but a lot of positioning still to come coming out of this first station.
So you can see a little stumble with Nicole. Again, could just be inexperience, right? But it seems like she's holding a pretty good pace.
Interesting, you've got a few different techniques on display as Nicole finishes up and she is out.
All right.
I was saying you've got some athletes with the ram on one shoulder, some with it across the back. I think it's ultimately whatever is most comfortable and fastest for you. And Lauren Weeks right with Nicole pulling ahead here on this second run.
Fast start. Very fast start. This is going to be great.
And similarly to what we saw with VJ Jones on the men's side, these two athletes, Lauren Weeks, Nicole Miracle, just the running ability and the form and just the ability to maintain that form. I think that's going to be the test for Nicole, especially later in this race. Getting to the air bike, coming out of that, is she able to maintain her running economy and running ability, or is the hybrid experience of a Lauren Weeks going to come into play later in this race?
Absolutely.
So the top of the leaderboard is not correct, but it does have the zone splits, as it looks like
39.
I think some of the male athletes that are still on course are coming in there. But you see Nicole Miracle there with a 39-second lunge. Now, that's the first station, so she's not super compromised yet, but that's the test, right? The test is for an athlete like Nicole Miracle coming into this hybrid space for the first time. How is she going to handle all these stations? And at least so far, the first test in those weighted lunges, she passed with flying colors. And now we're heading to the row here as they're going to come around. Again, Lauren Weeks, Nicole Miracle, within a second of each other, have pulled away from the field almost immediately. And it looks like we're in for a great battle.
Wow. Yeah, they are going out hot, pulling away early. This will either make or break. I think as far as where we know, Lauren is going to be okay at this pace. I would love to see Nicole hang on to this pace. This will make a first place battle very exciting to watch. I believe that's Calypso.
So 155 for Nicole right now.
Calypso. So Calypso in third. There's Jess. I believe we saw Katie Duke come in maybe potentially fourth in the pinkish, tannish crop top or tank top.
So when we got a last look, it looked like Lauren was rowing at a 150, but for Nicole to be at a fairly similar pace in the mid 150s, I think that's a good sign for her. not having quite as much experience, but they're next to each other on the row. Not sure if they're looking at the other's monitor, but right now, fairly even in terms of the pace that these two are holding.
It's definitely a mind game. You know, when you go into each station, whether first or second, you want to get right next to your competitor and you want to showcase that you have more energy than the other. It is a complete mind game, and it could definitely get within somebody's head that, oh, if I'm tired, maybe this person's not tired. So,
yeah, it looked like Nicole is dropped now to about 204. You can see her looking to her right with Lauren Weeks just to the side of her. Lauren's still holding in the mid 150s, so
yeah.
outpacing Nicole
this is where it might
bit.
break off a little. But Nicole very well just may make it up on the runs, you know? You just never know. But you can, I think, can see maybe the inexperience, or maybe not so much inexperience, but maybe the strength of Lauren. Lauren is such a master at these hybrid races, even the machines. I mean, she's just as good as the guys are at them.
And Lauren Weeks is out in first place. Nicole Miracle still on the rower. She's finishing up right now, and she's actually going to be in third. So we've had a move made on the rower as Lauren Weeks is in first, but now Nicole Miracle's falling back to third place.
So Calypso making her move to second. 2:15.
And that's a 159 That's a 159 for Calypso, including the on and off time. We got to look. She was rowing at one point about a 146. So phenomenal effort from Calypso Sheridan, who's inserting herself back into this race, and has at least early on paced it well. She let Lauren and Nicole go early, knowing she might have an opportunity to make up time on the stations. We saw that pretty much right away on the row.
That's definitely smart. Because I believe this is Calypso's first time ever, too, on the DEKA field. So this will be also exciting to see how she is. So she definitely has the reputation for being a tremendous hybrid athlete.
Just a different element with DEKA Fit. The runs are faster and shorter. And so we'll see how that translates. But Calypso Sheridan holding on to second place right now.
You could tell from the legs on the turns from the rower how smoked they can be sometimes. Definitely if you push it just a little faster, you tend to go a little faster on the rower than maybe you should. And you could tell on the turns how they that lactic acid buildup for sure.
So for context on time, right now here in 2023, Lauren Weeks has the fastest time, just under 34 minutes. So 33:57 for Lauren, with Tara Jackson not in this race, about 10 seconds behind her. So Lauren Weeks onto the box step-overs. A sizable gap, but this race is far from over, especially with the way that Calypso Sheridan attacked and then came out of the row in station number 2. Calypso and Nicole coming in together in second and third, maybe about 15 seconds behind Lauren.
This is good. Calypso is going to need someone such as Nicole. Oh, you can definitely tell at the box overs. Yeah. A little bit of inexperienced work from Nicole, but that's okay. It could be leg fatigue as well, too. Technique is not as quick as the other ladies, but I think she's aware of that, of course. The most exciting thing is just seeing Nicole racing again.
Yeah, I was going to say, in a lot of ways, this is a learning experience for Nicole, and we'll see, what she can do over the course of the rest of this race as Calypso comes out now with a pretty sizable gap on Nicole. But yeah, it's exciting to see her back on the competition floor again, putting herself in a bit of an unfamiliar position in a new type of race. And we're seeing, the hybrid experience specifically with Lauren Weeks as Nicole comes out in third, and Calypso, who maybe hasn't done much in the way of DEKA Fit, but definitely has a lot more experience in this type of compromised running hybrid type environment.
Absolutely. And I mean, experience pays out. And we all know this, definitely on an elite level. Maybe the open wave, competitive waves, you can get away with it a little bit more. Out cardio, maybe the strong guy. But when it comes down to it, experience is going to always outweigh ability sometimes.
So you can see there a 16-second gap, I believe, between Lauren Weeks and Calypso Sheridan, and then about a similar gap for Nicole. Calypso, you can see holding on to Lauren in terms of, I believe that's Lauren's times, even though it's not showing her name at the top of the screen there when we had the leaderboard up.
Anthony.
But both Calypso and Lauren were sub 40 seconds, just barely in the box step overs, and Nicole Miracle at 57 seconds. So that, you were talking about the technique maybe not as efficient and Nicole not having as much experience in it. That's the type of scenario where, that can make a difference in a station that's normally not too compromising. When there's a difference in technique and you can make up 15, 20 seconds, then that sets the tone for the rest of the race.
It really does. Yeah, the good thing about Nicole is she's so gifted in running. She can definitely still be in podium contention today for sure, just based off the running. She'll just have to play it somewhat smart on the stations. She'll probably won't win any stations today. She probably won't make up any ground, but she could definitely kind of maintain arm length distance for podium. Determining who's behind her, of course. So,
yeah, I'm interested to see how Nicole, as you see Calypso coming in here in second place, interested to see how Nicole sort of approaches the bike. Is she going to push it harder on the runs to try and make up time beforehand, or knowing that maybe that's an area where it's going to take her longer than some of these other athletes? But Nicole coming in now, still in third place.
Nicole missed her turn into the thing. So, yeah, again, just race fog, race brain on a new race. This is all learning curves. In fact, this could just be a workout for her, for all we know. I believe her sole intention is definitely the Spartan Worlds, for maybe what we know, OCR Worlds as well. But it's cool seeing her get into this. It raises the question, when the best of the world, such as maybe seeing a Ryan Atkins later down the road, that would be pretty cool to see. But OCR and hybrid racing are just two different elements. They just are.
And especially now that we're about 3 years into hybrid racing, DEKA FIT, this is really the second year of top level competition. But more and more, we're seeing athletes have to specialize to be competitive in this hybrid space. Maybe when it first started, you could see athletes move back and forth, but now just the ability level on both the men's and women's sides, and some of the times, whether it's DEKA FIT, whether it's other competitions, you really need to choose what you're going to focus on. And that's where an athlete like Lauren Weeks is really, even though she's less than a year coming off of giving birth, she's back to full form and has that hybrid experience. She's really dedicated herself to this type of racing and training, and you see it in a situation like this where she's able to pull away from the field.
Yep, absolutely. It's truly impressive and inspiring to all women and everybody out there. Katie Duke making her way to third. So with the top DEKA mile time as of now, I'm not surprised. Let's see if she can hold off Nicole on the runs, though. I feel like Katie's a little more probably experienced on the stations. So if she can gap it just enough to where Nicole doesn't make up on the runs, she could see third place today, maybe even second.
Yeah, based on those splits, it was about a 6-second gap between now Katie and Nicole in third and fourth. And you saw there on the run, it looked like maybe Nicole's pulled a second or two back, but Katie's still holding on to third place.
Yeah, someone makes a good point as far as it may not just be experience or inexperience with Nicole. It could just be, she's watching out for her ankle. Maybe has bigger races in mind as far as just a race series in the DEKA FIT. So it could just be she's being a little bit cautious on certain things. Box overs, with her ankle. You just never know, right? One single step or one wrong turn could definitely mess that up. So she could just be being cautious on certain things. So.
And it could be interesting to see how that plays out later in this race, where maybe there's not as much in terms of, a dynamic movement, more so than just output on like a ski erg or an air bike or the tank. If Nicole's able to, kind of measure that effort, as you see her here, she's now pulled pretty much evenly with third place.
Yeah, Nicole catching her on the run. So that's what I'm going to expect between these two. Katie's going to be pulling away, I believe, on the stations. For the most part, but then I think Nicole's going to hunt her down for that third place still. As much as Nicole, this is her first race ever, and I mean, I'm sure she's having a blast. Everything's new, it's exciting. Being Mount Rushmore of our type of world in this type of racing, she's going to still want to compete and still be one at the top.
So Lauren Weeks sounds like she's got about a 2-minute pace going, at least according to the announcer in the arena, and a phenomenal output there. We'll see what kind of a gap she has. As again, Lauren Weeks in first, Calypso Sheridan in second, Nicole Miracle and Katie Duke battling it out for third and fourth place right now, but still plenty of athletes just behind them. So if anyone falters, there are still absolutely podium spots for in play for athletes other than Nicole and Katie right now.
Shout out to our rabbits for today. Y'all are doing a great job keeping up and giving us coverage. This is awesome. They're very fast to keep up with. I've rabbited a couple races already. They will wear you out. So good job with keeping up.
Yeah, if you're a rabbit, you may not have to do the stations, but you're still running a 10 by 500 pretty quickly. So
yeah, it's
impressive effort,
it's
especially if some of our rabbits themselves may be competing later in the day. I guess this is a nice little warm up.
Come on!
But more than a warm up.
So Calypso Sheridan out of the ski erg in second place. So Lauren and Calypso are now both halfway through this race. And again, it's hard to judge with the time, knowing that especially you got the air bike and the tank push, they're going to take up more time. But still, sub 16 minutes at the halfway point for Lauren, and Calypso, I think, just above. So we'll see who comes out of the ski erg third. Nicole and Katie, I think, started right about the same time. I saw Nicole playing with the damper and Katie retying one of her shoes. The two of them, it seemed like they made their first pull right at about the same time, though.
Yeah, you can see the quality in pulls just slightly. Katie just seems to have just a little bit more. Oh, same time. Oh, wow. Oh, all right. This is exciting.
So the gap form, you can see there that it is Lauren Weeks at the top, a 2:08 and a 2:09. So Calypso is hanging on just in terms of time gap on the stations. And the question becomes, will she have the ability to make up any of that ground on the run? Lauren obviously well ahead of her at this point, but Nicole and Katie dead even on the ski erg and pretty much stride for stride coming out of the station as well.
Yeah, I think Calypso is going to match Lauren on most of the stations. I think she's fit enough to do so. Whether that's Lauren's going to be pushing the pace or not, it's going to be more so can she catch her on the runs like you mentioned, which we all know Lauren is pretty quick as well. But I would love to see when they go into this farmer carry here and then to the bike, where it's going to be after the station 7, I should mention.
So with Lauren Weeks in the farmer's carry, I want to remind you this copyrighted broadcast is presented by DEKA and the OCR report and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the OCR report. So 40-pound dumbbells in each hand for Lauren Weeks, 100 meters of this farmer carry. Station number 6 here in DEKA FIT. So she's got 4 500-meter runs and 4 stations after this as she has established the gap. It was Lauren Weeks and Nicole Miracle that went out together, and after station number 2, Lauren established that gap. Calypso Sheridan has worked her way into second place. You see, she is starting the farmer's carry right about when Lauren finishes it. So a huge gap now between Calypso and third place. But maybe the battle of the day in terms of competitiveness on the women's side is going to be third and fourth, as Nicole Miracle and Katie Duke came into the ski erg and out of the ski erg at the same time. And the question now becomes, will the running ability of Nicole Miracle pull her in front as she does make her way into farmer's carry first? So Nicole maybe 3 or 4 seconds ahead of Katie, but still a lot to play for here in the back third of this race.
Yeah, this is where Lauren makes her move right here to really push herself away from Calypso if there's any chance of Calypso winning this race. Lauren needs to be hammering this 500-meter and then hammer that bike to really put the distance or to keep that gap, if I should mention, or even more so of a gap. And then between Nicole and Katie here, I'm interested to see how they are with the farmer carry. They both seem of similar build. Running economy for both seem phenomenal. It's going to be exciting to see both of them on the bike.
And this is where the experience can come into play, right? We're talking about Katie Duke, who's currently the leader in the DEKA Mile. Nicole Miracle, who really hasn't competed in hybrid racing at all. And the air bike is the station that you circle. It's the one that could be the difference maker. And fascinated to see what's going to unfold here in the next couple of minutes.
Yeah, don't count out Michelle Navarro or Jess Contreras. I apologize for the last name. But As far as maybe they're not too far behind, but depending on how Katie and Nicole are on the bike, they very well can make up that gap as well, and then kind of chew away a little bit at it from stations 8 through 10.
Very
So
similar
don't count them out
times
quite
on
yet.
the Farmers Carry itself, which is what you'd expect to see. Nicole and Katie still hanging together. Nicole about 3 seconds in front of Katie coming out of the station, as Lauren Weeks will now make her way to the bike. So about 20:28 when Lauren Weeks starts the bike.
Lauren seems to be playing it pretty good. I think this is a good pace that she's hammering right here. She knows she has a gap, so it's just a matter of, you know, at least maintaining that gap. This is where experience comes into play, but she can't just let off the pedal quite yet. Because here comes Calypso. Here she is. Never seen her on an air bike.
Looks
so
like about
see,
a 40-second lead for Lauren, but again, if Calypso hammers this bike, she can make up a big chunk of that time. Lauren about a minute into the bike.
Oh, wow. All right. I think Nicole and Katie are pushing each other on the runs. I really do. I think they're making up some gap right here.
Calling a 7 or 8 second lead for Nicole Miracle in third place over Katie Duke. But you see a difference in technique there. Katie up on her feet out of the seat with pretty much all these other athletes as now she sits down. But
I'm wondering if maybe she got on a bike that's a little too tall. Because you have no time to adjust the seat heights. Definitely in this caliber of competition. You just don't have time.
there's Calypso Sheridan and Lauren Weeks. Calypso in second in the foreground. Lauren Weeks just behind her in first, coming to the final stage of this bike. As Lauren Weeks is done. So about a 2-minute bike for Lauren Weeks, and she is out.
I'll be interested to see what type of gap Calypso makes up right here. I'm not sure if that's a typical bike time for Lauren or not.
There's Nicole Miracle, who's holding on to third place. I see Katie Duke in the background still on the bike.
I think Katie makes up the time on the bike right here on Nicole. That's 7 or 8.
And the question becomes, how compromised is Nicole, and can she reel her back on the run? And Calypso is out in second place still.
Okay, so Calypso made
about
some
10
time.
seconds faster on the bike for Calypso, but Lauren still with a significant gap just because of the lead she had built up going into that station.
Yeah, again, I don't know if that's Lauren's typical time on the bike. I don't know if that's a slower split than usual, but I trust her ability that she knows exactly what she's doing, of course. So. Oh, they're hammering it. This is good. I think all the ladies are in the bike, actually.
Yeah, I saw Nicole there up out of the seat just trying to bang out these last few calories. Again, 25 calories on the bike is going to hurt a lot regardless. So it looks like with the updated times, a 30 or 29-second gap for Lauren Weeks over Calypso Sheridan.
Oh, Nicole in third. All right. She kept the lead. Wow.
Nicole comes out in third, and it looks like she's going to have a bit of a bigger gap on Katie Duke. So great effort from Nicole. Here comes Katie still in fourth place, but now Nicole Miracle maybe knows in the back of her mind, all right, the bike is behind me. That was a painful 2 minutes and 31 seconds, but now she can let her running ability maybe pull her into this podium position.
Absolutely. Yeah, I think, well, depending on how she is with the over the walls or the tank, I don't see much of it being an issue. But she knows Katie's breathing down her neck, and for Katie's standpoint, chasing down Nicole is not necessarily the ideal situation, but hopefully maybe she finds something deeper within herself to kind of push back into the game and go against Nicole to battle for that third place.
As you can see on the screen, this is zone number 8, back to the dead ball wall over, so a 40-pound weight for these women, 20. As Lauren Weeks about halfway through hers. Again, you've got to get the ball over and then go outside of the structure.
Wow, Nicole is moving. Wow. Just saw her in the background. Yeah, Nicole is moving. She knows it now. She knows it. I think she's a little warmed up into it. Like you mentioned, the bike is out of the system now. The bike is the most dreadful thing to look forward to. Oh, there's Katie. Oh, wow.
A big move made by Katie Duke as she came in about stride for stride with Calypso Sheridan.
I think Katie ran a lap short. Yeah. Oh, no.
That's unfortunate as now Lauren Weeks comes out because, yeah, we did see on the bike where Katie was several seconds behind Nicole Miracle. And the fact that Nicole isn't into this station yet, I'd imagine Nicole hasn't run an extra lap.
Oh, well, I guess that could be a possibility as well, actually. But, yeah, it seemed like Katie came in right behind Calypso. Calypso not moving too terribly fast. Oh, I think Yancey's letting Katie know and informing her.
Yeah, so here's Nicole Miracle, who we believe is still in third place. A tough break. It seems like Katie Duke may have had a short run.
Oh, man. I don't know what the penalty situation is on that. I don't know if she runs an extra lap, if that's even allowed. Oh, man.
Yeah, couldn't exactly hear what Yancey was saying, but the fact that he went over and was speaking to her and kind of motioning to one of the officials, I think that's what happened. Yeah. You can see Lauren Weeks and Calypso Sheridan are both out of this station. Again, Calypso maintaining in terms of time spent on the stations. Oh. It's just I don't think that she'll be able to make up that time on the run unless something happens with Lauren here in these final two zones.
I just heard that Katie has to do a penalty lap. I think that's what you're just describing. So a penalty lap. Okay, I have that's new. I believe. So I like the call. Honestly, I like that opposed to a penalty time. I think it gives the athlete a chance because if it was a penalty time that you know is going to devastate your time, just kind of defeats the purpose of even kind of finishing the race, right? So I like that it gives her an incentive to try to catch up. But it looks like Nicole has a comfortable third place as of now, depending on how fast this penalty lap will go.
Yeah, and I guess if she was a lap short and has to run an extra lap, you end up moving the same amount. Obviously, it changes the complexion of the race because you're running extra distance after completing the station. But now Lauren Weeks into the tank push. And so 2 stations left. She's got 5 down and backs of the tank, and then another run, and then burpees. So we're in for a solid time again here for Lauren Weeks, knowing she only has 1 run remaining.
I think her fastest time of the year so far is 33:57, and she's definitely within ballpark range of that time. And I think that's the top time for all females, if I'm not mistaken. I don't know her PR exactly. Do you happen to have that?
See if I can pull that up. You're correct. 33:57 is what Lauren ran earlier this year. Looking at the 2022 leaderboard, she ran a 33:28 at one point last year. So
okay.
that may be her PR, and so you can see about 30 seconds faster last year than her first race this year. But the fact that she put herself already sub 34 just shows what kind of finish she has. As Calypso Sheridan comes in now in second place.
That's very possible. We might see a PR today. Again, you can kind of see where just a little bit of the race brain is going with Calypso and being new to this as well, too. First time, didn't know exactly to push completely past the line, get the back bolts across the line. And then notice how she just pulled that tank completely across the line. She does not have to do that, just the back bolts. But again, this is where those little factors matter when, if in fact maybe she competes for the World Championship later this year on another DEKA race, she'll make up just little seconds here or there for that.
And you can see VJ Jones in the background doing some filming for Nicole. Is VJ excited with his performance from earlier in the day as Nicole Miracle in third place again within the last few minutes. Nicole had been holding on to third place. Katie Duke, it seemed like, ran a lap short and has since been penalized. So Nicole has pulled herself back into third place, and here now Katie comes in. So presumably she's done her extra lap and is still only about a length behind Nicole.
Good
So
luck.
this podium isn't necessarily decided yet by any means.
Wow, yeah, I'll be very intrigued to know if she ran 3 laps there before the sled, or if she has to run her penalty lap at the end after burpees. I have no idea how this is going to come into play, but if she in fact ran her 3 laps before this, she made up tremendous ground. Calypso not hanging onto those handles, that's very unique. I've never seen that before. You cross a possibility of stepping on them. But it seems to be working in her favor, and at least she doesn't have to worry about fumbling with it.
So Lauren Weeks is done with the sled. She's got one more run and then 30 ram burpees and just over 3 minutes to do it if she wants to break her time of 33:57 from earlier this year. Either way, seems like Lauren Weeks is well on her way to a commanding victory. As we saw in the men's race with BJ Jones, Lauren Weeks has come out, set the tone early on, and pulled away from the field. Calypso Sheridan and Nicole Miracle there in second or third. Calypso in the light blue top, Nicole blue top. I believe Calypso is at least 1 length ahead of Nicole right now. And there's Katie Duke in the foreground. That is second through fourth. Again, all on this station at the same time.
Calypso very well might have the second fastest female time after this race. She's holding a great pace. She's not going to be too far behind Lauren, depending on, of course, how the burpees go. Nicole's still moving on the tanks. I figured this was going to be a little bit of a slower station for her, based off her build. Clearly, bigger individuals, stronger individuals can move the tank just slightly faster. But it seems like Katie's holding her own. Nicole is also holding her own on it. Seems like she's got a good pace. She knows there's one more run after this, and I have a feeling Nicole's going to run the fastest split out of anybody today. Men, women included, this last 500 is going to be fast for her.
And here comes Lauren Weeks coming around the zone for her final bit of her run as Nicole is out in third place. A huge chunk of time made up by Calypso Sheridan on the sled. Again, I don't think it's going to be enough to compete with Lauren Weeks, who grabs the ram and just has 20 reps left between her. She's got about 1 minute and 20 seconds to do this in order to break her time. And based on this pace, at least to start with, seems like she's well on her way, but...
Let's go, Lauren. Let's go. This is great. Maybe not personal best, but definitely probably best of the time of the year. Just up that ante a little bit more for all the women competing in DEKA FIT.
Lauren Weeks roughly halfway through her ram burpees. There was Nicole flying in the background. You could see her ponytail moving fast as she's trying to make up ground on Calypso. But here comes Calypso Sheridan in second place. So well behind Lauren Weeks, but well in front of Nicole in third. Calypso's kind of been running in this position the whole race as Lauren Weeks just has a few burpees left.
Come on, Lauren.
And it's going to come down to the wire in terms of that time.
All right.
As Lauren Weeks sets it down, and she will come across with the fastest time of the year, about 33:52, putting 5 seconds or so in front of the rest of the field from where she was beforehand. An outstanding effort from Lauren Weeks, set the pace early and came away with that victory. And now Calypso Sheridan trying to finish off this second place in what we believe is her first DEKA FIT competition as Nicole Miracle comes flying into the zone, ready for her 20 burpees as well.
There goes Calypso. All right, second place.
So Calypso Sheridan just over 34:30. That's going to be the third fastest time of the year. Only Lauren Weeks and Tara Jackson are faster than Calypso Sheridan. She becomes the third woman to break 35 here in 2023. And Nicole's going to be pretty close to doing that as well. As Katie Duke in front of Nicole Miracle in the picture, but in 4th place. Katie's definitely hammering these burpees.
I wonder if she's just too many burpees behind, though. I'm not sure of the count. But Katie is moving much faster than Nicole.
Again, that's Lauren Weeks at the top of this leaderboard.
Oh, man. Oh, man. I don't know the rep count, but Katie is hammering these.
Podium position on the line, and it's going to be Nicole Miracle, who hangs on for 3rd place in her first DEKA FIT competition. 1:15, so she burpeed faster than Lauren Weeks did to hang on to 3rd place.
Wow.
35:28 for Nicole, and that's going to put her in, I believe now, 4th place this season so far, knowing that Calypso is going to come onto that leaderboard as well. So even though Nicole wasn't able to hang on to the pace of Lauren Weeks, an outstanding effort to get that podium position in a race that's now seen 3 of the 5 fastest times run by a woman this year.
Wow. Yeah, no, amazing race from Nicole. Coming off injury, just coming into hybrid racing in general, we weren't sure what to expect other than the fact that she, of course, is already an amazing athlete. I thought this was a great first race for her. There's definitely a couple things she could definitely tweak, and I think she knows this. No one needs to tell her that. And in fact, if she does come back to another race, expect, 30 seconds to a minute faster. She's going to be contending with Lauren Weeks up there for sure.
And knowing that we're about halfway through the season, right? This is race 4 of 7. There's a decent chance that time by Nicole could get her into the top 12, and she may not need to come back and compete again, which would give her more time to train and, obviously focus on the Spartan race and everything else that she's doing. But this should be a great learning experience for her. Again, it's really the first time she's competed in anything remotely similar to a hybrid competition like this. Is now the rest of these women in on the burpees, and their positions on the line, even though it had been kind of the top four pulled away from the rest of the field. But you see there just about a 3 or 4 second gap between those two competitors. And certainly in the back half of this first wave of women, some tremendous effort
going
as well.
Into this race, you had the 11th, the 8th, the 9th, the 12th fastest females of the year battling out. So they are all grouped together. This is great.
And a lot of these women had times in the 37s or 38s coming into this race. So they've put themselves in a similar position to where they were. And you can see right there, neck and neck coming across sub 38 for those two competitors
Teresa
as well.
And Julie. Yeah, I think a lot of women are getting PRs today. Wow, this is great. This was a great race. There's Faye Morgan. This first ever, I want to say, hybrid race as well. So a lot of new things to her. She's a phenomenal obstacle course athlete. And she did great. 38:15. That's a tremendous time. That's great. DEKA done. Look at those bodies. Best part of the race, seeing everyone just dead afterwards.
Yeah, I think about the only athlete who didn't look dead after the race was Lauren Weeks, as she went over and was watching Calypso's burpees and kind of encouraging her. But that's par for the course in the high-risk space for Lauren. But yeah, regardless of if you're on the podium or you're just coming across now kind of in the middle of the pack, the effort required in this, 30, 35, 40 minutes is something you really need to experience to understand what it's like as these last few athletes coming across. Again, we talked about the battle between Lauren Weeks and Nicole Miracle coming into this race. Ended up being Lauren Weeks pulling away. Calypso shared in a strong second place. And then Nicole Miracle holding off Katie Duke to come away with third here in this competition.
Oh, there's the future of the sport right there in that pink little shirt. There's the future. If she's got any Terminator blood in her like her mom, she's going to be something else. That's great. Man. What a great race.
Phenomenal race on both the men's and women. I think we're about ready to take a look at the final results when we have those ready to get pulled up.
It's unfortunate.
Before we get to that, actually, here they are. So,
oh, there we go. So this is the top 10. Oh.
I want to remind you that for the latest in hybrid fitness news, race results, and live race coverage, be sure to follow the OCR Report on Instagram. If you're looking for today's DEKA race results, follow at the OCR Report on Instagram today.
It's unfortunate with Katie's little hiccup with the race. I would have loved to see the fight there at the last little bit. I don't know if that penalty lap made that difference of podium spot or not, but it's unfortunate. But she'll learn from that mistake as well and come back better.
So here's a look at today's top 10 again. VJ Jones, the third fastest time of the year so far at 30:07. The first podium for Mark Polson, a huge PR for him. John Clark and John Howard coming into today. Mark Polson himself was in 12th place, which we believe would be that final qualifying spot in the 32:44. So he's put himself in a much better position, pulling himself about halfway up the field with that 32 flat. A tremendous race between John Clark and John Howard. Tate Cowley coming from behind to snag that fifth spot. You know, look at those time gaps. There's really not a whole lot there. You know, we're talking 10, 20 seconds between third, fourth, and then a bit more of a gap down to fifth. But I think this shows you kind of the class that VJ was in. Look at those 5K times. Pretty much the running ability of the rest of the field, pretty much even. And then VJ 90 seconds faster than Mark on his collective 10 5,000 meter split. So just an impressive effort from VJ with that running ability combined with the station work to win by nearly 2 minutes today.
Yeah, going sub 20 on any DEKA course is phenomenal. You put yourself in a league of your own on that, or as far as you putting yourself above average. But man, going 17 compromise, man, VJ is just solidifying it even more that he belongs on the Mount Rushmore when it's all said and done in his career.
And we're going to have the women's top 10 here. Again, that's Lauren Weeks. It's Lauren Weeks with the incorrect timing chip in first place with a 19:12. But how about Nicole Miracle, the fastest run time of the day, as you might expect, but able to hang on. Katie Duke, you see there, no split. I think that's probably because of the penalty lap. Things got messed up in the timing, but she was able to hang on for fourth place. But, you know, Calypso Sheridan, an outstanding effort in, we believe, her first DEKA Fit, because really, Luke, for most of this race, she was all alone. She had to stay on it knowing that, yeah, she was, you know, on stations at the same time as Lauren, but it was a pretty big gap. But for her to stay on top of it, make up time on Lauren on most of the stations, you could see as she, you know, finished about 45 seconds down, but a minute slower, more than a minute slower on the run. So that just speaks to her ability on the station work to stay on it and maintain that second place.
Absolutely. Second place can sometimes be such a hard position to be. You know, do you push a little bit more to try to contend for first? Do you push a little bit obviously, you got to push a little bit faster to stay ahead of third place and fourth place, breathing down your neck. So she definitely pushed the pace today. This was a great first outing for her. I have a feeling she's going to be much faster the second time around. Experience obviously will weigh that. So she did great competing with basically herself in that situation.
Here we go. More, Katie.
Look at that.
We're going to break the internet today with this.
And I think that's one thing that's so great about whether it's obstacle course racing or hybrid racing. You know, a lot of these athletes obviously have known each other for a long time, have competed in multiple realms for years. And, you know, especially I feel like on the women's side, but in both as well, just the camaraderie and the community, you know, whether it's in the elite field, as we see here, whether it's in the open class as well. Just, it's a great atmosphere and definitely definitely goes to show you why DEKA Fit's something to try, as Yancey's now going to get in the camera for the next picture.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, like you mentioned, Xander, this community in hybrid racing, OCR, if you've never done one of these, to just do the race itself is always fun. But, man, the people you meet is just the best. It's a drug. It's addicting. It's the best thing that you could possibly be a part of. Oh, look at that. Oh, she's adorable. Yeah, these women are going to be you're definitely going to see most of these women probably at the World Championships this year, future races. We still have 3 more races in the series. I expect a little bit faster times. Lauren knows that she has some competition. I think Calypso kind of made that a point. Katie Duke obviously will learn from this. Nicole will obviously get better if she continues it. So I don't think Lauren knows that this is quite a walk in the park, but she's undefeated right now in this season, which I think is great. And I think also from Lauren's standpoint, she just wants to solidify herself as the best to ever do it.
Yeah, for Lauren to come out and set a PR and, improve her own best time of the season in a race where, she wasn't pushed on the same level as if Tara Jackson may have been here, knowing that she was within 10 seconds of Lauren beforehand. Just impressive. I mean, coming in, we expected battles up front. We got kind of 2 runaway victories, but VJ Jones and Lauren Weeks just showing that, they're near the top, in Lauren's case, at the top class of the field, whether there's someone to push them or not. And, impressive showing for both of them. Lauren obviously extending her best time of the year. VJ putting himself firmly in the top 5 with, I believe, the 3rd fastest time, but some newcomers as well. Calypso Sheridan and Nicole Miracle, they both also finished with top 5 6 times in the race, despite, things maybe not going perfectly. So it was a phenomenal morning of competition for sure.
It was. This was very exciting. This is by far the best race of the year for both men and female. I only expect them to up the ante even more as the series continues and make the World Championships here in DFW that much more exciting. So,
and so we've got a few weeks before the next one. DEKA FIT Carolina is June 24th. So it'll be interesting to see if we see some of those same faces in this race, or in that race, as in this one, or, we had a lot of local Californians. We'll see if, some of the athletes in the Southeast show up for that Carolinas race, but only 3 races left to qualify. It's going to be a very exciting finish to the season here at DEKA FIT on the OCR Report. So again, I want to thank our Rabbits for getting us phenomenal coverage all race long. Putting in the effort, running with these athletes, sticking on it, and getting us some great views. Had awesome sales coverage in Anaheim, which is never a guarantee. So it always makes our lives easier, Luke, right? When we have great
100%.
views. And a huge thanks to our Rabbits today.
Yes. Thank you, guys. Thank you. This was great.
So I want to remind you, this live coverage of the 2023 DEKA Series has been a presentation of DEKA and the OCR Report. Thank you for watching. And a special shout out to Yancey Culp and the team at DEKA. You can support live streams like this one for less than $5 a month by becoming a member of the OCR Report through Patreon. Support the support we love. Go to patreon.com/the OCR Report and sign up today. For our Rabbits, for Luke Halterman, and for Jason Dupree behind the scenes, I am Xander Keene. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time on May 19th at Spartan Big Bear, and just about a month after that for DEKA FIT Carolinas here on the OCR Report.